Hey, what's up guys? King here with PrepSmartKitchen.com, and today we are going to be doing something kind of from Eastern Europe. We're going to be making borscht. Highlighting this right here, kind of a standard old beet. Borscht is pretty versatile, kind of like a lot of things that are like, really specific to certain regions. There's just not one way to cook it. Sometimes you put potatoes, sometimes you put beans, sometimes you put beef, sometimes you put chicken, sometimes it's vegetarian. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do this. And it's kind of like that with a lot of things all over the world. Borscht isn't super different. Going to highlight a really cost-effective way of staying in the game. Boom! We got a whole chicken right here. Now, you might be thinking, a whole chicken? What are you doing with a whole chicken? That's a little advanced, don't you think? It's not. And why? Because of one specific reason. I'll show you why whole chicken is the least advanced thing, the thing that everyone should be doing from day one. You see that price? You see that price? $9.42. $9.42. This is cheaper than a tray of thighs. It's equivalent to a tray of chicken breast, but we got the same amount of chicken breast on this thing. Chicken wings, drumsticks, those are all over $10 usually. And here we got all of that. Huge amount of food, right? We have the most flavor enhancing ingredient possible, which is the chicken carcass. We're gonna poach this thing, take it out, the meat just falls off the bone, add all the veggies, and then we're just gonna slowly build our borscht out. Ooh. Typically with a lot of like European stocks, we just kind of build off of a basic mirepoix. So we have our carrots, we have our celery, and we have our onion. We're just gonna kind of chop these up, make them kind of good. And for the parsnip, we're gonna take kind of like there we go. We're gonna take like kind of the bulb, right? Because we're gonna use all this for the actual eating. It's gonna be nice long, and the bulb, it's just gonna kind of, it's the thick boy part of it, right? And that's kind of the part that we really want to leverage when we put it into the stock. So we're gonna kind of cut it up. I would say I'm gonna go diagonal actually, because there's a certain size, and I kind of want it to, you see how it kind of matches? I want it to kind of match, and by doing the diagonal shape, we were able to kind of achieve that. And we're gonna throw these big old chunks just right in there. I'm just gonna cut this in half. Get some chunks. So I'll show you what I mean by that. You can see right here, it's just, that's it, right? A bit of discussion over whether or not you add salt or you add garlic. One reason, or one thing you'll notice, I'm crushing them up, is if you buy like pre-made stock like most people do, myself included, you see like low sodium varieties. It's not just because people want like less sodium, it's because it allows you to control the seasoning a bit better. Get some peppercorn, and it's better to use kind of like these kind of chunky bits, just a little bit, like not a ton. It's better to use like this because it just sort of simmers better. If it's dried and herb, or kind of like dried or powdered, it doesn't really like seep that flavor into the water itself. It more just sort of dilutes, kind of like a solvent or a solution, I guess. I know one of those words is correct. I can't remember which one. Here we're using coriander seed, and just a little bit, maybe like half as much as the peppercorn. So we have a little bit of that in there. Normally you would want to use like a full sprig of rosemary. I was having some trouble finding that, but just little bits like this are going to be fine. One thing I've seen is they'll just get like a little tea bag, right? Like a little kind of like cotton tea bag or whatever material they're made out of, and then they just put it all in there. That way it just kind of floats around less. We're going to throw in a bay leaf, maybe two. Yeah, This one's a little small one, so it works out. We got it now. This is again what it looks like. I'm only gonna add a pinch of salt. I got these salt flakes right here. You can find more about it on the website. Just a little bit, not really a lot. We're gonna add more salt to the actual borscht of it, but this, I just kind of want the salt to at least help some of these flavors saturate and mingle a bit more, like that. All right, guys, so you see right there that the chicken kind of lines up nicely. So I'm just gonna add this water up there. Yeah, that's good. All right, guys, so what I did now was I kind of moved things around a bit just to kind of make sure that the water is actually going to cover the chicken. So we're gonna just turn this up and get it to a boil, which might take a while. And while we wait for that, we're going to get back to our prep. All right, guys, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start prepping our veggies. So carrots, parsnip, our beets, our herbs, and this cabbage hiding in the back. Now to make this pretty easy is we're gonna be using this cheese grater. This is kind of like an easy way to get like a makeshift julienne, and it can work really, really well with carrots and carrot shaped things. Just go like this. Cabbage is pretty easy. You just kind of cut in half. And you kind of get this core, and we don't really want that, so. And then you can kind of just peel it out. Just cut it in half afterwards. And then from here, you can kind of some cabbage shape. Herbs, that's what we're doing next. And then with herbs, you just kind of want to like try and fold them. Make sure that they're not bleeding. Really let the blade do the work here. And now we're just gonna kind of rock the boat. Check it out. That's good enough. Okay, with the dill, trim some of that down. We have our veggies. That pot was getting a little too small for this, so I got a slightly larger one. We're cosplaying as doctors. We're gonna do some surgery. Beets are pretty well known for their colors. It's real beautiful, sort of like purplish color. But that color comes at a cost. And we're gonna use a potato color peeler thing. Yeah, so we're just gonna peel all the skin off, same as before. And we're gonna hit them with that grater. So now we have our kind of 4 vegetables all prepped up. There's more than 4, but we got our carrots, our parsnip blend kind of right here. We got our cabbage, we got the beets, and we got our dill and parsley. This is the skimming the impurities, and we have our stock boiling. Now we still have about 30 more minutes on this bad boy. Then we're going to sort of transfer things, start cooking these up. Update, we have the chicken, we took it out of the stock, we put it over here. It's cooling down because it's hot as shit right now. We need it kind of cool down. Have kind of the stock here, it's just simmering on a super low heat. We're gonna get back to this. We're gonna kind of put the bones back in here soon. Definitely gonna burn my hands on this. It's still very warm. To kind of help us, I'm gonna just start carving. And you know, what doesn't get said a lot about, you know, making your own stock, and it really should, is, you know, you talk about the cost, saying, oh yeah, the whole bird's cheaper and you can make your own stock. You know, we all know that part, but you know, when you say make your own stock, you know, you're also saying buy one less thing at the supermarket, right? That's something that you are kind of adding to the equation, is, I guess taken away technically, is, you know, now you don't need to buy this $5 quart. Of course, that cost comes back to you in the form of an extra hour of work, but You know, it's the day off, right? We already have that extra hour. All right, guys, so we're back. Kind of cleaned things up a bit, and now I'm just going to take this apart with my fingers. A lot of people will, use like forks and things to shred things up. I don't really like doing that. I couldn't tell you why. It just feels like you just kind of have to aim a little too much with the forks or something like that. All right, so you can see I took all of this stuff out. I just used the slotted spoon, just kind of fished around. And what we're going to do next, and make a little prayer that this doesn't end up all over the place. All right, so that worked out pretty well. Brown kind of color that stock normally is. And we're going to bring it back up to a boil. We're still waiting for this to kind of really come up to a bit of a boil again. We're going to come over here and actually saute our beets a little. So we're going to cook these up kind of around the same time. Sweat them out a bit. Because they're sauteing, we can add a little bit of white wine or vinegar, which I'm always a fan of. A little splash of that. So you can see it's really starting to come to a boil. Turn this down a bit. Just getting them kind of warm. We have a bit of an order that we're going to do this. Carrots, beans, chicken, cabbage, beets, herbs, dill, parsley. So we're going to just throw these in, kind of let them get going. And there is a splash of white wine vinegar when I first started making this stock. So underneath, so we'll just have it kind of waiting there. We can see we kind of have this nice swirly effect going, but I think it's ready to go. So we're going to add our beans. This thing's coming to a boil. The beans are having a good time. We're going to add our chicken. And we all like a day off. That's what this smells like to me. So we're going to add this cabbage next. All right, look at that. That's healthy right there. That's healthy. You got nice chicken, cabbage, carrots, some parsnip, some bean. You can eat this, or you can spend 20 bucks at a drive-thru, sit in line forever, hate yourself afterwards and feel like total crap. Now would be a great time to season, so we're just going to take a big old chunk and throw in these. We ain't going to skimp too much on the salt. We add in our beets. Beets. So I'm going to throw those all in. Settle them down a little bit. Instant. On camera, it almost looks like putting chili on top of like pasta, but look at that. Look, we even got the dog. Instant. She came right over. She could smell that tone change. We're still gonna hit it with just one more little spriggle. And that's for the beets, right? Because we just added a ton of beets to naturally add some green. So we're just gonna throw this in. Ooh, that was a lot. That was a lot. And we're gonna stir it in there. And it's on a low simmer, but once it's stirred in, we're actually going to kill the heat entirely. We want the herbs to be good. We want them to be kind of, cooked down, but they're delicate and they don't need to be in super intense heat or anything like that. Okay, get a look at that. Can you see that? Can you get a good look at that? If I can make this on my first at bat, so can you. There's nothing stopping you. I just went to a basic grocery store to make this. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. All right. We'll come back to you because that's not as pretty. And I got to clean that up. Next, I'm just going to start plating, bowling. I don't really know what this part of the process is called. The meal prepping, staging. I have no idea. I'm still looking for the correct term for that, but I just kind of do what I normally do when I'm measuring. You can do this with a scale and not have to think about this, but I will go 1 scoop across
and then I'll go a second scoop back. That tends to be the kind of ratio for most foods across a 5-day week. So you see, I'm starting to do it here. And then I'll just sort of pour the remaining liquid in, kind of just to taste, I guess is the technical term, but I just eyeball it. Um, and then when you're bringing this to work or something like that, or just having it for your either your lunch or dinner, um, you're you might really enjoy having some sour cream on the side. You just plop in the middle, kind of stir it in. What I noticed with this dish was that the sour cream was best when I didn't like fully stir it in completely. You know what I mean? Like every little bit. A lot of the sour cream was getting like trapped in between the dill, and that kind of made these really nice little like pockets of sour cream in every bite, and that was enjoyable. I did not have the raw garlic attached to it. So if you have the opportunity to try those two together, it's probably going to be even better. But that is that. PrepSmartKitchen.com. Borscht.